Hello everyone, my name is Jared Maddox and I will be presenting on this week's topic, which is market segmentation and positioning. I will be discussing a Forbes article that looks at the evolving technology of TV audience segmentation to reach a more targeted viewership. The article title is Television is Embracing Audience Segmentation as Addressable OTT Continues to Explode. The author is Alan Walk and it was published in August of this year. The title for this presentation is TV Audience Segmentation, Addressable versus Indexed Advertisements. The outline for this presentation, I'm going to be discussing the topic overview, what was discussed in the article, the firm overview, the various firms that the article discusses that are working on addressable advertisements. I will talk about the article summary, also the concepts that are common between both the textbook and the article. I'll discuss those. Some questions that arose while reading the article. I'm going to have those towards the end, and those are the ones that I'll provide my feedback on one of them, and you will provide the feedback on either one of the questions. And then finally, the learning outcomes, the major learning outcomes that I got from reading this article. So for the topic overview, the article discussed both indexed and addressable advertisements. So I first had to learn what an indexed advertisement was. I didn't really understand that concept, but after reading the book and doing some research online, indexed advertisements, it's the traditional method for targeting a population and is normally done with the Nielsen approach or the PRISM, which stands for Potential Rating Index for zip markets. The delivery method is multi-channel video programming distributor, and some examples of those are Comcast, AT&T. Those are the traditional brick and mortar, if you will, methods of delivering indexed advertisements. Next are addressable advertisements, and addressable advertisements target groups of people based on aggregate viewing habits and behaviors. The delivery method is via the internet rather than MVPD, and it's also delivered via over-the-top OTT, which is content which is distributed via the internet. So for example, if you watch NBC or CBS or ABC, any of those via their website, then you're consuming that content OTT, over the top. And also addressable advertisements become more relevant as more people cut the cord. So that's actually one of the reasons that I chose this article, is because about a year ago I cut the proverbial cord. And so all the content that I consume comes over the internet, either via Netflix or any website such as ABC, NBC, CBS, and so on. If I want to watch any of those programs, I watch it via the internet and I pump it into the TV. And I actually began to notice that when I watched those programs online rather than through the cable box, I started seeing more advertisements that were more focused on things that I was watching. It was very interesting. So that's the reason I picked this article. So next, I'm going to talk about the firm overview. The article discussed several companies that are looking to monetize and capture the revenue that could come from addressable advertisements. It discussed the development and refinement of OTT addressable advertisements is currently underway, and it's getting better and better. Companies that are strategically aligning with each other are ones such as Inkscape and Vizio, and also Adobe and LiveRamp are aligning to see how they can best use OTT addressable advertisements, or addressable advertisements that's delivered OTT. So the article summary is basically we're being tracked. Companies are always finding ways to track us, and they're always trying to do it better and better to sell us more stuff. That's not really a surprise to anybody, I don't think. Addressable marketing from the author's point of view, is the way of the future, and I happen to agree with that. Because it allows for a specific company to target an individual or a group of individuals rather than using a shotgun approach and hoping something hits, right? The spray and pray method. This is more of a precision marketing campaign. The viewing habits can be modeled and used for addressable advertisements. So the viewing habits of myself and, say, 5 other neighbors in my neighborhood can be modeled and aggregated, and specific advertisements can be pumped right into our TVs based on those viewing habits. Very, very interesting. And also another summary from the article is that just because you can create a segment doesn't necessarily mean that those segments have to be slivers, right? So audience segmentation can be as narrow or as broad as desired. So for instance, if you're looking strictly for NASCAR fans, then you can definitely do that through the audience segmentation. But if you wanted to look more at people that are interested in automobiles in general, then that can also be done by picking more and more segments. So some concepts that were common both in the textbook and in the article. In the article, it discussed the Nielsen prism, which is the potential ratings index for zip markets, formerly Claritas prism. Nielsen bought them out. Also in the article, it discussed single segment concentration or niche markets. So as I previously discussed, a marketing campaign can be as narrow as broad as desired. So for instance, right, it can pick one market in that image. P2M1 is that one segment that was chosen, but it could be the entire row of P2 to get a broader viewership, or the entire matrix, the entire population can be advertised to also. But that takes away some of the effectiveness of market segmentation, or audience segmentation rather. Next, some questions that came up when I was reading this is, how does it make you feel? How did it make me feel that, we're being tracked and we're being specifically targeted for marketing campaigns? It was a little bit unnerving thinking about it, but it's also very convenient because I might see something that I think is really cool and I want to buy, and it's something that I want to get, right? Is it worth the convenience to have that? Is it worth giving up privacy for that convenience? So for instance, I have Amazon Alexa in my house, and she's amazing. I can add things to my shopping list. I can buy things from Amazon directly, just using my voice. But I always have a leery feeling that I'm being watched and she might be listening. I know they say she's not, but I always have a feeling she is. Another question that came up is, what are the potential drawbacks of this type of segmentation? So if too narrow of an audience is chosen, will potential customers be overlooked? So how does a marketer decide which segments to focus on? And there could be potential segments that are overlooked that have a high concentration of customers that are overlooked. So I thought that was a good question to bring up. The learning outcomes from the article, it definitely emphasized that marketing is a living organism that must continually adapt to evolving technology. It can't stay stagnant, right? I would say marketing is kind of a shark in that way. It has to keep swimming, has to keep going. Segmentation is not a limitation. So just because a market or a population can be segmented and a marketing campaign can target each of those segments individually, it doesn't have to limit the marketing campaign to one segment. Multiple segments can be chosen for the marketing campaign. Another thing that was discussed in the article is that verification of successful advertisement targeting is still a challenge. So how can a marketer verify that their advertisement caused a sale to occur? That's still pretty difficult for OTT addressable advertisements, as opposed to advertisements that you would see, say, on a web page where you click on it directly and that click is validated and tracked, and it's right, that's verification that that advertisement brought you to the product. So verification of successful advertising is still a challenge in addressable advertisements for OTT delivery. Here's the article link. Again, it's a Forbes article. And as a disclaimer, I don't own any of the rights to any of the images shown in this presentation. So that's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It was quite interesting researching this topic and had a lot of fun. I enjoy seeing all the comments and feedback that I get, and I look forward to commenting and providing feedback on your future videos. Thank you.